So this book, Half-Blood Blues, was shortlisted. It was a shortlisted nominee for the Man Booker Prize and the Scotiabank Giller Prize and the Rogers Trust Prize, and the Governor General's Award for English Language Fiction. That's a lot of nominations. Won the Giller in 2011. So to me, the very best kind of fiction introduces you to something you had never considered. And there is so much in this book that I had never considered. What it was to be black in Berlin in 1939. What it was to be black in Paris in 1940 as the Nazis were marching in. How in the face of all that, jazz music might be the only thing that mattered. How that cultural piece is the thing we hold on to, which tells you a lot about the place of culture in our society, how it can save us in a way. And this was jazz music, but this was while the German authorities had banned it as degenerate. And so you were black and you were playing degenerate music, yikes, in that particular time period. Says the bass player, Sid Griffiths, in this book. Think about it, a bunch of German and American kids meeting in Berlin and Paris between the wars to make all this wild, joyful music before the Nazis kick it to pieces. Chip told us not to go out, said, don't you boys tempt the devil. But it'd been one brawl of a night, I tell you, all of us still reeling from the rot. Rot was cheap, see, the drink of French peasants, but it stayed like nails in your gut. Didn't even look right, all mossy and black in the bottle, like drinking swamp water. See, we lay exhausted in the flat, sheets nailed over the windows. The sunrise so fierce it seeped through the gaps, dropped like cloth on our skin. A couple hours before, we was playing in some back alley studio trying to cut a record. A grim little room, more like a closet of ghosts than any joint for music, the cracked heaters lisping steam, empty bottles rolling all over the warped floor. Our cigarettes glowed like small holes in the dark, and that's how I known we wasn't buzzing. Pyro smoke not moving or nothing. The cig just sitting there in his mouth like he couldn't hear his way clear. Everyone pacing about, listening between takes to the scrabble of rats in the wall, restless as hell. Could be we wasn't so rotten, but I at least felt off. Too nervous, too crazed, too busy watching the door. Forget the rot, forget the studio seclusion. Nothing to take me out of myself. Take after take I'd play, sweating to the end of it, only to have Hyro scratch the damn disc, tossing it into the trash. Just a damn braid of mistakes, Hyro kept muttering. For weeks the kid had been going on and on about how dreadful we sound. He kept snatching up the discs, scratching the lacquer with a pocket knife, wrecking them, yelling how there wasn't nothing there, but there was something, some seed of twisted beauty. I didn't mean to, but somehow when the kid turned his back, I was sliding off my vest, taking the last disc, still delicate, the groove still new, and folding the fabric around it. I glanced around nervous and tucked it into my case. The others was packing up their axes. Where's that last record at? Said Hyro, frowning. He appeared at the trash bin, at the damaged discs all in there. It's in there, Buck, I said. You didn't want it, did you? He gave me a sour look. Ain't no damn point. We're never gonna get this right. What you saying, kid? Said Chip, slurring his words. You saying we should just give it up? The kid shrugged. We lined up the empty bottles along the wall, locked up real quiet, gone our separate routes back to Delilah's flat. Curfew was on and Paris was grim, all clotted shadows and stale air. I made my quiet way along the alleys, dreading the sound of footsteps, till we met up again at the flat. I'd set my axe against the wall, and it was like I could feel the damn disc just sitting in there, still warm. I felt its presence so intensely it seemed strange the others hadn't sensed it too. Its wax holding all that heat like an altar candle.